Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
My name is Amanda Septimo. I've lived here in the South Bronx my whole life. Right now, I'm running for state assembly in the South Bronx. This is my home, and it's where I hope to have a family one day, and it's the place that I care about. I'm taking another step in my journey of public service that really began with community activism and then transitioned into government. Now I'm ready to take that next step into leadership. I want the same thing that everybody else does in our community, and that's to feel like we have opportunities to do better and to feel like we're being supported by the places that are supposed to support us. I want people to feel like they have a voice that represents them, like they have a neighbor who's going to fight for their issues every day. When our schools don't have the resources they need, kids are going to school and not learning in the ways that they need to. The core of gentrification is displacement. We've seen a lot of people being priced out of their neighborhood. We have too many of our young people being lost to gun violence. We want those guns out of the wrong hands. My background is really in activism, and I say that I've just had a sort of career in public service. I started my work as an activist with the Point CDC, which does a lot of environmental justice work out in Hunts Point. Then I went on to work with Congressman Serrano for a few years, and it was great to really see that activism meet policy and see how the community can really make a change in the decisions that are made from a policy perspective. And after that, I went to work for a union for a year to really fight to get our public schools the resources and things that they need to really be doing well. And after that, I've now made the decision to kind of step up to the plate and run for state assembly, because I think that if we really want our issues heard and represented and worked on, then we need to step up to the plate and represent ourselves. And really the leaders of tomorrow are the people who decide to step up to the plate today. So I'm doing just that. The New York State Assembly is, I explain it to people, it's kind of like Congress for the state. So just like on the federal level, we have the president who's the executive, and you have the two chambers of Congress. You have the House and the Senate. You have a similar system on the state level. So on the state, you've got the governor who's your executive, and then you've got the state assembly, which kind of mirrors the House, and you've also got the state Senate. As a South Bronxite, I'm stepping up to run to represent the 84th Assembly District, because I think for too long we haven't had the representation that we really need. I think that the South Bronx has been growing and changing, and we've certainly made a lot of progress, but I think we still have a lot of work to do, and there are still people who are suffering, right? Our classrooms still need work. Gentrification is displacing people at alarming rates. We've still got the highest asthma rate in the nation. We've got the opioid crisis that's really threatening to rip through our communities. And we've got a whole host of issues. People need jobs. Kids need after-school programs, NYCHA needs repair. And so for all of these reasons, I decided, if we really want to see these things improved, then the people who think they can do it should really step up and lead. And so I'm doing just that, because I think we deserve a voice, and we haven't had one for too long. My first foray into politics actually happened when I was in high school. When I was doing my community activism work with the Point CDC, I noticed that the congressman's office was really involved in a lot of the work we were doing, and they would always have a rep at the meetings we were at and the hearings we were speaking at. So I'd reached out to the congressman's office to see if I could be their intern, and I actually ended up interning with them for 2 years after that. The last 2 years of high school, I was their intern, and I'm pretty sure I'm their longest intern on record, and I don't think that's gonna be broken anytime soon. And so those 2 years were really sort of transformative, because I was able, again, to see how community work really impacts policy, and how when you have good people leading good work, change really gets all the way to the community the way that it's supposed to. So then when I left the congressman's office, I went to college, and then when I finished, they actually had an opening, which feels like fate. So I took the job as community liaison, and then I became district director at that same office. And it was an incredible 4 years. In terms of the impact I've had on the Bronx, I'd say that my years I keep coming back to my years at the Point, but they were so transformative for me. And it really was a period of time where I think we saw the Bronx make a lot of the progress and a lot of the type of growth that I'd like to see continue happen. In 2005, we were part of a major effort to make sure a new jail didn't come to Hunts Point. It was gonna be a $375 million jail. Really happy we were able to defeat that. And now it looks like, 10 years later, more than 10 years later, we're coming kind of full cycle and having to fight a jail in our community again. But also in that same time, If you've ever been to, if you've ever heard of Barretto Point Park, we were able to make sure that there was a public pool there now, because Hunts Point is actually the only community district in the city that doesn't have a public pool that people can swim in. And that was a campaign that as teenagers we decided, you know what, this is unfair and let's come up with a solution for it. And in the years since then, in the time that I was at Congressman Serrano's office, I think we did a lot of great work to ensure that people felt like they had access to the congressman and to the congressman's office and to the work that was happening, to work that's happening on their behalf, making sure that people feel like they can reach out to their leaders, that they can express the issues that they're living with every day and really feel like they're being heard. And that's something that I think I carry with me no matter where I am. Even in the year that I spent working with CSA, my neighbors and I have gotten together and we throw an annual block party where we give away back to school supplies to kids all over the neighborhood, because again, we want to make sure that we're always building community, that we're building community power and ensuring that people feel like they have the ability to impact the community that they live in. Like they have an ability to be heard, to make change, to realize that change. And I'm excited to keep doing that work. In the near future, I hope to be in the state assembly. But honestly, I really don't know where my career will take me, but I do know that the Bronx is home, and I'm probably just not leaving here anytime soon. My best advice to anybody who wants to sort of do some of the things that I'm doing is to just get out and get involved. I only came to learn about the Point CDC and the Congressman's office and all of those things because I walked into my local community center and I wanted to know what the options were for kids in the area. And that kind of spiraled into all of the work that I'd done. So I'd say just get out, get to know your community, get to know the people in it. I genuinely believe that good people doing good work always find each other, but you've got to make that effort to get out and find those people. And don't be afraid to share your vision of what your community should be. If you see something wrong and you think it should change, then speak up about that and find other people who care about that too, because chances are you're not alone. I think we all have the responsibility to make the Bronx what we want it to be and make any community that we're part of what we want it to be, whether that's your church or your school or your block or your neighborhood. We have that responsibility and we have that power. So don't ever be afraid to really tap into that power, use it, rally the people around you, and start leading. A production studio made for Bronxites. So I think I would love to see a production studio made for Bronxites, by Bronxites. I think that the Bronx is a place with such unique history and culture that you really can't even explain to someone who doesn't live here. So I always just tell people you've got to come visit and you've got to come spend some time. And I have no doubt that that same unique Bronx flavor would transfer to any studio that was made for Bronx artists. And I'd love to see that happen, and I look forward to supporting that effort.